Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Missed calls, slow replies, messages scattered everywhere. If you're running a business, that's not just annoying, it's revenue slipping away. That's where Quo comes in, spelled Q-U-O. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2. One shared business number for calls and texts. Stop missing customers. Start capturing every opportunity. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/tech. That's QUO.com/tech. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
Hello and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Brooke Brigham, I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham, I'm the therapist.
And we are here to talk about Love is Blind, Season 7, Episode 13, The Reunion.
Oy, veas mia.
Yes, we just watched it.
It just ended.
Just ended. And just overall, what did you think?
Oh, God. Oy vey. I hate all these people now. I don't know why.
Did you hate any of them before? Or this
No, I was more neutral before. I had feelings before, but now this was a lot to take in. I think they are trying to do way too much in these reunions. And it's a little jarring in the sense that, with these, housewives reunions, those are a lot. And I don't particularly love to rewatch, those. Mm-hmm. But there's something about spreading it out over several weeks of 1 hour at a time. And the fact that that's what the reunion is supposed to be is like hashing out all these issues. And this was weird because it was partly like, ooh, let's travel back in time and meet people that we used to know and see what they're doing now. Oh, they're the parents. Oh, fight. Oh, look who's here. Someone has a baby. Okay, great. Fight. You know what I mean? It was a lot.
Yeah. And the editing was weird. I feel like, I didn't understand a lot of what was going on. Some of it just got cut off. Like Stephen and Monica, they were just starting to get somewhere with their discussion. And then it abruptly ended.
Yeah.
And it literally was just cut off. I mean, no one even said anything. It was so harsh, the editing. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I can't even think.
Yeah. Well, I think
tired from
Love
this.
is Blind. They need to figure out what is the point of this reunion. Is the point of this reunion for these couples to hash everything out and say what they want to say and be able to, speak their piece after being criticized on the internet for, this past 2 months or whatever? Or are you a fun-filled variety hour where you're going to kind of just like, hey, this is this person. Now they're doing this. Now they're doing that. It's just, they were trying to do way too much. And I think that's why the Monica Stevens stuff got cut off, because they had to keep moving, right? Like
they didn't have time.
They didn't have time. They had to move. And then, but at the same time, you're like, do we really need to meet Jessica from season 1 who married someone not even that was on the show and their baby?
Yeah, that was weird. And the worst part about the whole reunion were all the terrible jokes and puns that the Lachey's made.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Mean, that was painful. The wrap it. How many times did they say wrap it up? Like 4 or 5 times after they talked about the condom issue. And then Nick is like, well, it's time to wrap it up. And they kept saying that like all throughout the rest of the show. It was terrible. It was really,
it
was bizarre. And
it was bizarre. I think that's how I'm feeling, because I texted you in the middle saying, I hate all these people. I hate all these people. I can't stand them. And I was trying to figure out, like, why am I so upset and why am I so frustrated? And I think
we invested a lot of time
and you know what it is? I kind of, this is the other issue too. And we actually I have a couple messages I want to read. But we got this, someone in our Instagram pointed out that, now that everyone is so self-aware of what it looks like to leave someone at the altar, so many of these couples are breaking up before they get to the altar. And I said, yeah, this is a bit of a sign that it's jumped the shark, because now what's happening, and we've talked about this, that the people on the show are self-producing. And I think what we really learned from this is there was a lot of people that were self-producing. There's a lot of people who had, and I know every year there's always, ulterior motives or whatever it is, but it sounds like there are people that that their motives were very unclear. People have very different versions of events, and they were in the name of trying to protect the other person, was kind of interfering with what was going on, as opposed to just allowing it to be captured. And they all showed up very much, what is the expression? Like, they're all in the comment section. They're all in the comment section, and they have been dying to clear all these things up, but they don't even, okay, great. But it's a little bit of, there's a lot of anger and animosity towards the viewing public of like, how dare you, how dare you bring up things about us, and how dare you comment on these things? And it's a little bit of, okay. But you also went on the show. I mean, and this is the 7th season. You've seen what happened. Stuff comes out about you.
And also, one of my biggest questions is, when was this filmed? Because they let Tyler completely off the hook. We can talk about that more when we get to them. But I feel like maybe this was filmed before some more stuff, before the mother of his children came out. I don't know how, though it was a week or two ago, maybe. And told the timeline and all the stuff and what happened, because they were still accepting his lame ass story, at the reunion. So it must have been filmed prior to that.
Well, I remember I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw Story Time with Ricky. And I believe she said that was true, that it was filmed before the mother of his children, before she put out her series of videos. Okay. And so, but I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the Ashley and Tyler stuff now, but it's just a little bit of, again, she was also someone else self-producing and then angry at the public for not quite understanding what was going on, and then having opinions based on what we saw. And it's like, there's just something about people scolding me for things. It's like, no. It's like me scolding someone for criticizing the podcast. It's like, no, I chose to show up and put this out here. Whatever criticism I get, I have to take in.
Well, let's, do you want to start there and work with them? Because she was self-producing. She claims that Tyler first he explains the first baby and says that he was helping his friends, and to conceive this child, and the wife left, and so he stepped up, and like, he's trying to be a good person. Okay, well, that and that is kind of what his ex said, or I don't know if to call her an ex, the mother of the child kind of said that. Although I think he spent more time with them than he's leading on. Okay, I can accept that. But again, he said nothing about the other two kids.
Yeah, he never talked about them. When
they were having their conversation, their produced conversation, turns out, he said 3 children. So Ashley knew there were 3. Well, what about the other 2? What were the circumstances surrounding that? And the mother has since come out and said that they had sex. And that's how those babies were conceived. So then Ashley explains that they had this discussion off camera. So in order for her to be authentic, they had to have the discussion on camera, but they didn't have that discussion. They had a different discussion.
Mm-hmm.
They had a tempered down discussion about being a sperm donor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's inauthentic, Ashley.
Yeah.
That's a lie. And then, and she's defending him and saying that when she asked him, do they know what you look like, that he was trying to protect them. And so that's why he lied to the camera. And it's like, oh my God, you will just jump through hoops to defend this guy and make it seem like he's, not doing anything wrong. And she says he just didn't know how to handle it and he's a good person. And, she claims she knew everything. And that's when I said, well, when was this filmed?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you knew everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, this leads into this message that we got on Instagram. And so this person, I'm just going to say she works in the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm.
And so she mentioned, so that's where she works. And she's also very conscious about semantics while working with victims, similar to how I'm sure you do in therapy. I don't think there's anything to be gained by saying that how Ashley will be humiliated. Humiliation is too close to being ashamed. There's something about her taking that on that doesn't sit right with me. She's making the right decisions with the information she has at the time. I would be encouraging her to dump it all entirely on him and hold her head up high. Don't let humiliation take you down. I'm not explaining it very well, but think of the difference between disclosing you are gay versus admitting you are gay. That kind of thinking. Refuse to let it be something that you should be ashamed of. And I when I read this, I was saying, yes, I absolutely agree with you that I just wanted to point out, I have different feelings about Ashley right now, but I just want to point out that very much was, people kept saying, oh, Ashley should be ashamed or that she should feel bad about what's going on. And
meaning bad about what? I don't really understand what we're talking about.
Oh, well, basically this idea of, the rhetoric that's been out there, and maybe I said it, around Ashley and that, of how Ashley, how people feel so sorry for Ashley and that, pitying her and that, she should feel like people have the secondhand embarrassment for her. And that sort of, that is very similar to this feeling of shame and being shamed for, what she was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And, I really agreed with this person because I know for myself that it's very easy to get very critical when we have all the information and to get very critical for these people. Because I do try to empathize with where they're coming from and what that is. And Ashley very much was just working with the information that she had. And I too loved Tyler before all this stuff came out. But now it's a little different because I'm kind of like, oy, okay, I think this would be different if she had said, I'm okay with it. We had that conversation on camera and I'm moving forward and, you don't need to worry about it. The fact that she had the conversation and then she let him sort of lie on camera and then she's now mad at people because people think he's a liar, but it's like, but he lied on camera. Like, what do you think?
And also when this was filmed, even before the mother came out, all those photos came out of him with all 3 kids and all that stuff was out there. Now, and that was not that long after the show was airing. And, it came out like as soon as that came out on the show, stuff started coming out on social media. So I'm sure the reunion was not filmed that long ago. I don't know.
It's very, I don't know. The whole thing is just, it's so strange. It is so, the whole thing just feels so odd to me. And now it feels like it's, it makes you wonder, like, so what did we see that was real?
Mhm.
Right? Because one of the issues, I mean, one of the things that everyone talked about is how everyone thought that there was nothing wrong, right? They were the perfect couple. There was nothing wrong until these things started to get, revealed. And so I think that's the part that people don't quite understand when you self-produce these things, and people start to feel that you're being inauthentic. It's hard to trust anything.
Mhm.
It's hard to trust any part of this relationship. So I think that's where my anger comes from. Like, I felt like I couldn't connect with anyone because no one's being real with me.
Yeah. And also, the fact that he hasn't seen the kids for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
She must know that because she's been with him for the last year.
Yeah.
And he said there were 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not asked, well, where are they? Why aren't, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't it seems like whatever explanation he gave her, she's taking that and she's accepting that. And, it seems like what they did is they got together and have a party line.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a very set thing. And he was lucky that they didn't probe anymore.
Yeah, no, she clearly wants to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
She's willing to overlook whatever and get their story straight. And they must have talked to the producers and said, we're not going to do this. Or, we're not going to. They made a deal with them. And I'm sure producers don't really want to get into it either.
Oh, no.
It just makes the show look bad. And
no, the producers don't want to get into it.
Leave it. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So anyway, so that's them.
We'll see what we'll see what the fallout on story time with
Ricky what Ricky has to say. I do like Ashley's shorter hair.
Yes.
Didn't love the dress.
Oh, the dress that looked like she had 2 spiders on her shoulders.
Yeah, you got the super cute haircut, right? She got the super cute kind of bob haircut. And then we can't even really see it because of the shoulder things. It's like you didn't allow that hair to like shine. She would have looked great if it was just strapless.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a strapless black would have been great.
Yeah.
So, I did not like that. Can I just also say that when Marissa came out, I thought they said, and Larissa. And I'm like, who's Larissa? And it took me a few minutes to recognize Marissa.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, who is that person? I had no idea who that was.
Yeah. Well, I've seen her on social media lately. She's been posting a lot of reels or, TikToks, whatever they are. So I knew, her hair is longer and she looks a little different, but yeah. Oh, and I think the ironic part, just before we leave Tyler and Ashley, is that when they did that video at the end of their year together, they're wearing matching Christmas pajamas, just like Tyler and his children were in those photos. So that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So long.
That's them. Goodbye
to them.
And
then the other married couple. So the two married couples are both still married. Garrett and Taylor. They talk a lot about Garrett's glow up.
Yes. Well, Garrett has a real keen interest in fashion. I didn't realize that. And apparently Taylor's quite the fashionista. So I think, and I can see that. I can see if she's like really into clothes and fashion and all that kind of stuff. And he's always been there and he's just never had someone to like, I think maybe give him permission almost to, dress a different way and be a little different. And she sort of gave him that confidence. It sounds like this is the Garrett that has been inside this whole time. Right. It's emerging now. We're really seeing Garrett for who he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Glow up.
He's changed a lot.
Yeah. He looks great. He looks
They
cute.
both, had very fashion forward, outfits on.
Oh yeah, that bodycon top. I mean, that's like straight off the runways. I was like, geez, like straight off of like movie premieres. I don't get it, but I don't know. I didn't love anybody's dress. I didn't have anybody that, except for AD. I thought AD looked great, but I didn't have anyone that I thought looked amazing or I loved what they were wearing. I didn't really like the Hannah pink. Monica's was nice, but she's got such a great body. I felt like it didn't really show it. It showed off a lot of her body, but it didn't stand out.
Well, the worst dress was Alex. And the whole time it made me nervous to look at her dress because I'm like,
Yeah.
a nipple's going to come out at any minute. This is all going to fall apart. Like, it's all going to come out.
Well, when she first walked out, I liked the dress. I liked it. I was like, ooh, someone's got a revenge dress on, like I'm going to show some bottom boob. Really, like,
it's more like the bottom half of the boob.
But then when she was sitting down, I was like, oh, this doesn't translate. Mm-mm. This doesn't work as well.
You can't sit down in this dress.
Yes. Anyway, I thought you were going to say the worst dress was Brittany.
Oh, yeah, that's probably, they're probably tied for worst.
Yeah, that was. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's not much to say about Taylor and Garrett. They're living their lives. They're happy. They're living in Fredericksburg. They're not going to, after all that San Diego talk, after having to hear her talk about San Diego incessantly, they're not going to live there.
Well, but this was confusing because they say they've been living in Fredericksburg, but they've been traveling a lot. They're moving to DC, I guess in some sort of compromise. But then she said that they're a bi-coastal couple. Like towards the end of the show.
I didn't hear the bi-coastal
Yeah,
thing.
she said, well, now that we're bi-coastal.
Okay.
So I don't know what that
means. The story that I understood the story as we're in Fredericksburg right now. We're our permanent residences. We've been traveling a ton, and that Garrett in this time away and traveling and being gone so much from his family it's reiterated to him, and maybe they were out in San Diego for a little while too, that he went back to her and said, hey, I don't really want to be that far away from my family. How would you feel about staying? And then the compromise is, well, we won't stay in Fredericksburg. We'll stay in DC.
Yeah, but then at the end of the show, she said we're bi-coastal.
Okay, well, maybe and now that they're fashionistas, they're bi-coastal.
Maybe she wants to be near her family. Garrett. That was the whole reason she was planning to move to San Diego before she even met you.
Yeah.
Why does he get his way?
I know that was kind of interesting. And her explanation was, well, he's worth it. And I want to stay. And it's like,
well, what about you?
Okay, then why was this such a big, I don't know. I feel like Taylor's the kind of person that would say to him, I'm not happy with this. I don't think she's going along with this just to go along with it. But it is quite a 180. From what we saw.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she thinks that, they'll live in DC a few years and then she can convince him.
Yeah. But he was like, well, we're going to compromise. We're going to move to DC.
It's not a compromise. A compromise would be like if you moved to Colorado or something. Yeah. No. You can drive to DC
from Fredericksburg.
So... whatever.
Okay. So, who is next? Who's the next? The next sort of couple they got into was Marissa and Ramses.
Yeah, this one.
This was a lot.
This was interesting. Marissa is real. She's real angry. I kind of felt for Ramses a little bit because I haven't always been his biggest fan, but and even Vanessa said, I'm glad you broke up with her, because if you didn't feel the way you should feel, then, I'm glad you did. You saved her more heartache. And so I don't know. He seemed very contrite, and he said that, there was just too much space in between their energies, and apparently she made him exhausted and overwhelmed.
Which seems a little harsh, I thought. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, Marissa, she's high energy. I mean, I can see that. But and he told her, I mean, she did say, well, I feel like I didn't have any say in this. Like, he just broke up with her. He went to her and said, oh, can we talk about this? Or can we talk about how I'm feeling? And it's like, well, if someone knows, they know. I mean, someone has the right to break up with you.
Yeah.
This is an experiment. Right?
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. People have the right to break up with you. People have the right to say, no, I don't want to be with you. And it's heartbreaking and it's awful. But yeah, I mean, I'm with Ramses on that. I feel like I'm with you on this, which is, I think Ramses got, like many of these people, got caught up in the situation. They're having great sex. And then they started living together in the day to day. And I think he just realized, like, I just don't feel this.
Not compatible.
We're just not, like, I'm just not gelling with you. I'm not jiving with you. And yeah, it's how do you define how two people have chemistry and then these other two people don't? It's just, there's something about that. And I think that there is that thing where we've all met people and been with people that you're like, this is a perfectly nice person, but for whatever reason, it's just not, it's not happening. And I do think that he, it sounds like he's very self-aware and he's very aware of what everyone's been saying about him, because he want to clear a lot of that up. But my favorite, of course, is Vanessa, who's like, well, I wanted to punch him in the throat.
Yeah, which is, I mean, come on, Vanette. It rubbed me the wrong way. Like, for all of her violent talk, and even in the opening when they had her behind the, the screen, and they said something like, "Oh, and also some parents are here," and it was her with a pair of scissors.
Oh, I didn't know that was her. Okay, I didn't get that.
Because of her comment about cutting his balls off. That was obviously meant to reference her. Well, too much violent talk. It's not very flattering, and not very cool. I mean, can you imagine if the roles were reversed and this is
it wouldn't
father telling
it wouldn't be good at all. But just Vanessa's tough cookie. I mean, she is, and the way she was looking at Ramses going devastated. She was devastated. And I'm sure she was devastated. And obviously Ramses isn't, he obviously is just as upset and unhappy about everything that happened. But yeah, I think that that's really hard. It's hard to be the person to say, I don't want to be in this. You become the bad guy. This is why a lot of times people don't break up with people.
Yeah, they're afraid.
Yeah, they don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah, and like look what Cody Brown did to break up with anyone. He just treated them like crap until they left.
You just treat one of your wives like crap and tell her you're going to put her in your barndominium. you want to store her in our barndominium and just collect her Lulu Road checks.
Yeah, I mean, Ramses actually looked very upset the whole time.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He's not he was not making any excuses or trying, I don't know. I felt kind of bad for the guy, but he really, he cut off his little tails, his little braids. And he's even, his outfits are getting even more wild. He had on like these, like, the kind of fingerless glove, the mesh, what is the word I'm looking for? The fingerless gloves. I mean, just the whole outfit. It was really something.
Yeah, he's he loves that 80s retro vibe.
Yeah.
Was he even alive in the 80s?
Early 90s? I don't know. Yeah, it's like cross between El DeBarge and a little bit of Prince going on there with those gloves. And, interesting.
Yes. Well, but And again, I think I like Marissa too. I don't think that she was, she was willing to be very open and vulnerable. And I do feel like their conversation, like, I don't think these are two people that self-produce themselves.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Which I give them credit for.
Yeah. Well, I saw a kind of a sad reel from Marissa where she didn't pass the bar exam.
Oh, God. Oh, that sucks.
And she said she missed it by 1 point.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I don't know why she posted that, but.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But that is so.
Advertise that, but.
Rough. I've had clients who didn't pass the bar, or I knew people that didn't pass our licensing tests. And it just sucks because it's so punitive and you have to like tell everyone. It's awful. I'm so sorry, Marissa. That sucks. Well, you'll get them next time. You're so close. You got it. All right. So let's go to Hannah and Nick. But what's shoehorned in between that is Zach and Bliss. They had a baby.
Yes.
And then we spend all this time talking about Leanne Womack and that song. I mean, that was a lot of time, don't you think, on
It
that
really
Leon
was.
Womack song and the two of them? And why did you name your kid Galileo? And why did you?
Yeah, they got a lot of time.
They did. And I'm like, and we have to go back to this? Like, that was the frustration of, and then we're back to Hannah and Nick fighting. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot.
Yeah. It was. They're trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Simply trying to do too much.
So the Hannah and Nick stuff is interesting because, basically Hannah says that she, she's a very direct person and she realizes that she was being a bitch to him. And she's been working on herself, both internally and externally. She's working on herself, trying to be better. And she, she doesn't mean to be, she doesn't, that's not her intent, but she comes across as harsh and mean. So then Nick has a very, different perspective of what was going on between the two of them.
Well, she also says that she stands by what she said to Nick.
Yes.
Even though she was a bitch and, she said it in a bitchy way and the delivery was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, she's saying, well, I'm just direct. She doesn't, although she does at one point say, I'm sorry I was so cruel to you.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, ooh, okay. Because she does say at one point, well, I'm learning about myself. I'm self-aware. I think I understand myself. I'm self-aware. And I'm like, no, you're not self-aware. Because if you were self-aware, you either would be saying, I'm fine with my tone and I know how it comes across and I'm fine with it. Or you would be changing your tone and the way in which you're saying things. And, this one was hard because it didn't feel like she really grew the way she thinks she grew as a person, because again, I said this before, it's like this whole, like my way or the highway, or I'm this kind of person. It's like Hannah cannot get away from the fact that she, feels like I'm a direct person and I have to, be transparent and tell it like it is. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, and she feels like she's always right.
Yes, that too. Thank you.
Yeah, she doesn't see other people's point of view. And, but then it all kind of fell apart because then she started being mean to him again and started, I don't know, this was so weird. I went back and forth over which one of these two is the worst. I don't know.
And the thing is, it's like, well, who do I believe? Because the two of you are saying two different stories. So basically, Nick makes a comment about how he defends Hannah, and Hannah says, well, why are you then liking all these comments that are hate against me? And she said, right before, I guess 2 weeks after they ended the engagement, she found a notebook of Nick's. And on the notebook, he wrote down 3 things. Number 1, sell 2 houses. Number 2, get in the best shape of my life. And number 3, become the most famous person on Love is Blind history. And she said, once she saw that, it all came together. Because what Hannah's saying to us is that Nick always was kind and nice and patient on camera, but that he was very different off camera, and that he made a lot of disparaging remarks about her looks and other things that Nick is absolutely categorizing, is denying, basically.
Well, how could she have found, I thought she found the notebook. How could it have been 2 weeks after they broke up? When
she said, I think he still had stuff in that apartment.
Moved out? Oh.
Well, I bet you they had that shared apartment that they had, and she was cleaning stuff out, and she said she tripped upon this notebook. Now, I will say, Nick's saying that those are 90-day goals, and Hannah's like, but the date was 2 weeks before you left for the trip. But he's saying, well, no, that's the date in which I finished my 90-day goals. So really, I made these goals 2.5 months earlier. And I didn't even know I was going to be on the show. I was just, and I do feel for Nick in this, because this is a very common kind of manifestation thing that people do, which is like, you say, I have $10 million, I have $10 million in my bank. I have this. So I can see that if he thought that Love is Blind may or may not happen, like, I'm going to be the most famous person on Love is Blind history. Like, I can see him just casually throwing it out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's, as calculated as Hannah thinks, but she felt like that was the reason, that he wasn't there for the right reasons, and that this was all about, it sounds like she feels like this was all about him looking good at all costs. Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he was being that calculated. I agree. I think he was just being, and he said he was just trying to come up with things. His friend introduced him to this concept of, setting these goals and whatever, and he was just trying to come up with stuff. And I believe that. I don't think he went on this show for fame. I think he would have acted a lot differently if that were true, because he kind of just let Hannah walk all over him. He never fought back against.
Well, and so the idea was that made and that garnered a lot of sympathy and empathy from the audience, being kind of the pitiful one. And it sounds like Hannah has gotten a lot of hate from the internet and from the world. And I think that, and obviously Marissa's jumping on the bandwagon. I think the two of them feel like, and I'm sure a lot of the other women feel like, that this has been really unfair, that she's been a scapegoat of this whole relationship, that it wasn't just her, it was the two of them together. And yet everything is wrong with Hannah, not Nick.
Well, yeah. And apparently Nick was telling all the guys that he wasn't attracted to Hannah, didn't like her looks. And then the guys were telling the girls. So it's like everybody, every single one of them was like, yeah, you were saying this. And then they told their respective fiancés. But
I think this is the piece where Nick kind of lost me, because I think that Nick could very well have said, because I think that Nick did say something in all of this. And I think what this was a big game of telephone. So I think that probably Nick did say that he was disappointed in the way in which she looked. And Hannah admits she was too, that he was disappointed. But what's happening now is he's getting into this whole semantics thing of like, I never said that. I never said grenade. I never said this. I never said that. It's like, well, but you implied, like you were implying that you didn't like her looks. Like, just own that part of it. And I think that was a frustration of, yeah, this wasn't your exact words, and this was a game of telephone and it got misconstrued. But the root of what she got was the truth. Of how you were feeling.
She didn't like how he looked either.
Yeah.
She was, see, this is the thing. It's a double standard here. Hannah was equally, if not maybe more awful to him. She did not like the way he looked. He was too short. She still criticized him the entire time. That she criticized everything he did. That list of 10 things I hate about you. I mean, all of that. Have we forgotten all that? Like, Hannah and Marissa did a masterful job of just turning this whole thing around and making Hannah the victim. When it started out, they were talking about how awful Hannah was, and Nick was even defending her. He was willing to go that route.
But what they're claiming is that behind the scenes, this is what I interpreted, that behind the scenes that Nick wasn't as kind and nice,
right? But
as he was coming across.
Well, but that doesn't negate what Hannah did. Hannah was mean in front and behind. She was mean to his face. She was talking shit about him, telling the girls at the party that, he wouldn't go down on her. I mean, it was like, she was awful. to his face and behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
So which is worse?
I don't know. It depends on who you ask. Is Hannah or Nick? I don't know. I'm just telling you what I interpret.
They're both.
I'm not Hannah. I didn't say these things. No, I hear what you're saying. I'm with you. And I think, again, this comes back to, we're back to the same issue with these reality shows is that it's always hard to really know what we're seeing. It's hard to know what the truth is. So.
Yeah. And, was it Garrett who was defending Nick? And,
well, all the guys were, though Ramses did say, because Marissa was like, Ramses, are you going to own up? Because it's obviously Nick said something to Ramses said something to Marissa. Yeah. Marissa said something to Hannah. So obviously, and Ramses again was kind of like, oh, Jesus, I felt for him there too, because none of those guys wanted to say anything. And so they all wanted to like the bro code and they didn't. And if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't want to say anything either. Like, I really wouldn't. So I felt for him. But basically, he did say, hey, you need to be open and honest and you need to take accountability. So it does sound like Nick did say some things. Yeah. Those things were. I think the thing is that it's almost like what Marissa and Hannah really want the audience to know is they were both assholes to each other. Mm-hmm. Hannah was just an outward asshole and he was maybe a different kind of asshole. He was a behind the scenes asshole. And so we should all equally hate both of them. And it shouldn't all be Hannah that we hate. That's really what they're trying to say. Well,
and this is another byproduct of the show changing and jumping the shark a little bit, is that this interaction with the couples, how the couples all get really close and they all get enmeshed and they're telling each other things. Because in the earlier seasons, that didn't happen. Or at least we never saw it. Like they would have their little party together things, but I don't remember this many scenes of the couples getting involved in another couple's lives or disagreements or arguments or anything.
The first season was in Atlanta, right? When they all lived together, did they all live in the same location together? Or did that start in a later season?
I don't know. I'm not really sure, but it seems like, as far as I can remember, they always kind of lived in the same, apartment building, or like all the places looked the same, all the apartments. But I just don't feel like they got in each other's business as much, or if they did, they didn't show it. And now they're showing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of new, but I think that hurts too, because it's like, if you want to have the best chance at this, all this interference and people tattling on each other and this isn't helping. It's just encouraging bad behavior.
It's ruining the experiment. It is skewing the data.
Yes, it is.
Is this really an experiment?
This is anti-scientific.
Yes. Thank you.
There's no control group.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then we have this very quick thing with Katie, dragged poor Katie there.
Oh, yeah.
For her to basically say...
I was like, who is that girl? The whole time, I'm like, oh, that's Katie. Couldn't have picked her out of a crowd.
Basically, Katie's like, listen, I was just going to see some friends and these people that I dated in this experience. And I didn't mean any offense. And I'm sorry. And I guess Hannah, I kind of tuned out. I'll be perfectly honest, because I was so sick of these people at this point. Like, and Hannah was sort of like, oh yeah, that's right. I didn't really mean what I said. And that was that.
I don't know. Because Hannah was drunk and she was trying to pick a fight with Nick, and she used Katie as the subject just to get under his skin, because she hated him from day one.
Yes.
So, good thing they broke
then up. Leo and Brittany, they those two come out, and Brittany. I don't want to critique anyone's body, but she's a beautiful girl. I'm not happy. I don't like the look. She's so beautiful. I don't like it.
To be honest with you, I don't like these underboob dresses. I don't like the split, deep V-neck thing. Yeah, it's like, it's too much. And I was trying to figure out what was going on with her. I think because her chest looks the color of it looked so weird. I think there were shadows happening, and I think maybe not a very good spray tan. And you know what I mean? Like the combination of it. I was looking at it and it's like, is that her skin? It just looked so weird.
Yeah, maybe the color didn't work very well with her skin and the lighting a little bit.
Because there
you
were
know?
shadows. I could see when she was moving her head around, like you could see shadows on her chest.
Yeah.
You know, it was weird.
You know, AD wore a dress that was also a little, right, revealing in between, but she looked, I mean, it looked fabulous.
That's her natural skin color. She's not, this is what happens when you're pale and you get a spray tan, and you put on a pale colored dress. That's what happens. If you have this beautiful brown skin, you don't have to do anything to it, and it looks good with you put anything up against it.
Yeah.
No,
good. I just meant the style of the dress was similar with like showing kind of but less. There was less of that. I don't know. I just didn't. It's not my cup of tea, and not really. Just seemed like an odd place for it. That's all. Was this reunion show?
It's a show where it's supposed to be about, you know, getting married and starting a life and a family, and it's a bit much.
And she is gorgeous. She does have she really does have sparkling blue eyes. She really does. And she's a very attractive person. So I wanted her to look more natural. So basically we get Leo. So the first thing they have to ask Leo about is, of course, the Rolex. But then after that is, you know, what was going on and the money. And Leo basically said, listen, they encouraged us to talk about these things in our lives and finances. And I guess maybe I just went, you know, too far, or I talked about it too much and I didn't realize it. I will say that I think of anybody, am I getting this wrong? I feel like he's the only one that really owned what he did, apologized, and didn't make any excuses for it and move forward. Because he was the one that said, I was so wrapped up in making this decision that I didn't take any of these women's feelings into consideration. And he says, I like control. And I'm like, I knew it. I said that several weeks ago about Leo. I said he likes control. And, you know, and he goes to each one and says, I am so sorry, you know, and says exactly the moment. And this is what happened. And I'm terribly sorry. And I'm sorry I did that to you. And he goes to Brittany and does the same thing. It's like, listen, you know, Leo was the most hated. And I think he's the most, like, he was the one that I was like, okay, that's some growth.
Yeah.
You know?
And the guys seem to like him. Brandy's not mad at him. She says now she loves him. He's
Brittany.
Like Brittany, sorry.
Yeah.
He's one of her best friends now.
Yeah.
So
they're very close.
He can't be a bad guy.
No.
He just came off, you know, I don't know if you can blame editing or just blame he's just trying, you know, is trying too hard, or, you know, he's very young. Yeah,
I think, and I think that Leo, went into this too much trying to make a business decision. Like, I think he was really going into this thinking about it like a business. Should I pick business A or business B? And you can speak about the businesses that way. You can analyze it like that. But when it comes, and I think, right. And he owned that. He absolutely owned it. And I did that. So I give him credit for that, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they go to Miami and we want to hear about what happened in Miami. We hear nothing. And they're like, well, here's some photos. And it's a photo of the ring and his Rolex. I'm like, what is this telling me?
They had to do that. They had to. The Rolex was like the third character in the.
I know. But everyone wanted to see what they did in Miami. I guess they just had a lot of fun. I don't know. It sounds like it was never romantic.
Right. I think they just went to Miami and partied. Her friends live there, you know, whatever. It was.
Yeah.
It wasn't romantic.
Yeah. And then we get into Steven and Monica. And this was really weird. This was so odd. Steven had made a comment earlier and Nick was like, oh, we'll get to you, Steven. You're getting anxious. But Steven tried to make some sort of flyaway joke that didn't really land. And I don't know. I think, I don't know. I don't know. What was your impression of this whole thing?
Yeah. He started out by talking about nobody cares about Steven. Nobody cares. They just want to basically saying, everyone just wants to trash me. You're just here to trash me. And I've actually been, you know, working hard on myself, you know, before and after this whole thing. And He feels just very cast aside, and I do, hearing his explanation of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds far-fetched, but I just don't know. He was at the sleep study. They show a picture of him.
He was at the sleep study. Yes.
But on the show, he said that he was drunk at a sleep study. I'm pretty sure that you're not supposed to drink.
Yeah, I think he was using that as an excuse.
Yeah, because that messes with your sleep. So why would you drink and go to a sleep study? So
yeah.
He says that he got a text from a Instagram friend who he'd never talked to, I guess, outside of Instagram before or since. And this person texted to tell him about a heart condition that she had, or a heart problem. And then all of a sudden said, I've really been getting into a lot of fetishes lately.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, well, tell me about it.
Yeah.
And he says, I never should have even done that or entertained that. And it was emotional cheating.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the way that they portrayed it on the show, they made it sound like he was having these discussions with someone who he was intimate with, or knew, like, had, I don't know, some sort of past, or was trying to hook up with someone. They make it sound worse than what he said. Who knows what the truth is? I don't know.
And that's the thing. I still don't even know what happened. We have no idea. Did she discover it? Because he said many times, I don't lock my phone. I don't do this. I don't do that. She's saying, I'm not going through your phone. So again, how did she see these text messages? Well, I saw this.
Okay. So she was on the Nick Viall podcast.
Uh-huh.
And he asked about this. And she said that, that morning, Garrett and Taylor had told everybody that they were making cookies for everyone or something, and they were going to come deliver them. And she claimed that this text came through, on his phone while he happened to be in the bathroom, and she just happened to be there.
I think you told me this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's all sounding familiar again.
And she saw the text that said that they were coming to deliver the cookies, and underneath that text was this other text conversation, or I don't know. I think she pressed a few buttons. It was just right there happened to be, he had that conversation open. So when the new text comes in, wouldn't it replace the old one? I don't know. I don't know if the phone works, but
yeah. But if it's on Instagram, you have to open the app of Instagram and go in there to get your messages.
Yeah. I don't know if they were if they were chatting on Instagram or
just text messages. Okay. Oh, that he met her on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, I think that Steven is the cover-up's worse than the crime with Steven. Right. There's a little bit of, and I don't know how deep that conversation, if he was just like, hey, what fetishes? And I don't think that's that bad. I'm sorry. Just saying, hey, what fetishes?
Monica said that it went on and on and on.
Okay. So then
pages
okay. Well, then he's sexting with this person. So, but again, all he needed to do was own that. And that's it. He just needed to own it and apologize and leave and walk out the door. But he did a little bit of this poor me, feel sorry for me thing with Monica there. And then he did it again at the reunion. It's like, just be Leo. Just own your part of what you did and move forward. But he's acting like all these people that have been, whether they feel like they've been painted as a villain or whatever it is, the way in which the best response is not yelling at people and not being like, you got me all wrong. Like, how dare you think that? It's more of just own your part and move forward and show us who you really are. If you feel like you were painted in a certain way, then show us that. He could have come in, instead of being angry, he could have come in with a more cogent explanation and play his case. Yes. Yes.
Clear this all up. And that's why, I don't know what happened. At a certain point, they just cut it off. There was it just cut to somebody else. There was no resolution. And I don't know. It was really strange.
Yeah. I mean, Monica did get in a few good digs. I mean, she was like, you had a tremendous amount of respect for this woman that was DMing you, but you didn't have any respect for me. And it's like, Monica, she got in a few there, and she obviously still does, because she rolled her eyes at him a few times. But but yeah, it was just very abrupt. And then all of a sudden we're at Alex and Tim, I think, right? Yeah.
So that was that.
Yeah. So Alex and Tim, I don't know what to say about
this. I wasn't always the biggest fan of Alex, but now I think I understand. I mean, she actually did take the time to explain what was happening. And I think Tim really showed his ass here. I mean, there were signs of him being, I think, controlling and, maybe I got the feeling like that he just talked too much and he just talked at her all the time. And now we know that was the case, that he was just constantly lecturing her, at times yelling at her. That fight in Mexico, apparently he was, she said that production had to get involved, and she was trying to protect him from, again, the self-producing.
Yeah.
We don't want this on camera. So she's probably telling him, okay, calm down, settle down. And that just riled him up more. And then he just wouldn't shut the fuck up. And she had to put her hand over his mouth. And then when he said that she called him a little bitch or something. And by the end of this whole thing, I'm like, you kind of are a little bitch, Tim.
And I don't think she called him a little bitch. I think she said, you're being a little bitch, which is different. Those are two different things. But yeah, what got me was there was this segment, they were going back and forth, and Alex had a different version of events than Tim. And she was trying to share those version of events. And all the while, the camera kept going back to Tim, but we could watch Tim fuming. And it's like, it's very interesting that I can understand the feeling of, this isn't, how I saw it or my interpretation. But really, Alex was talking about her experience of like her thing. And he's angry. And it's like when she made some really, really good points. And she said, it's very much, you're long-winded. You only listen to yourself. It's always on your terms, Tim. And I think that's the thing, was like, she was expressing how she felt in her words, in her terms, and in her truth. And he could not sit still for it. He could not sit still. And he was visibly angry. And everybody else there was able to, I mean, Alex was she was mad, but she was not angry. He was angry. And it's been a year.
He got very heated. So if he's that heated on this show,
a year later,
what must he have been like in Mexico when she was not feeling well, missed her family, wanted to go to bed. And he is just like pushing. And he just wouldn't shut up. That's how he is. He just will not shut up. He does not know when to stop. He has to have the last word. Not satisfied until, everyone has told him, okay, yeah, you're right. There's something really, really wrong with him. He's talking about how he never feels respected, and there's all this disrespect.
Well, and she brought up a very good point, which she's like, when I want space, it's a problem. When you want space, it's okay. If I go to bed and take a nap with your parents, but you lie to my father's face, you know, like it's okay for you to do it, not me. And he, the other thing is, I noticed he's one of these kinds of fighters. So he said to her, well, you didn't say that you were out into the club until 4:00 in the morning the night before. And I think really what Alex was trying to say was, I wasn't at the club the night before. Maybe she was at a club 2 or 3 nights before that. So that's the kind of fighter he is. Like and it sounds like she maybe, works at this bar or whatever. So she's out, she has the right, she's young, she can go to a club. And so she's out at a club on a Wednesday with friends. The parents are coming into town on Saturday. And because she wanted to take that nap Saturday and before she had to work, he is mad at her. Like, I think there's a lot of that. Like the minute she makes something, a little mistake or a little bit something that he doesn't like, he holds on to it and then uses it at these times when it's not really what the true of what happened.
Relevant. And also she said that she was with his parents from 11 a.m. until like 6 or 7, 8, something like that. She had to be at work to work at 9
Mm-hmm.
and she was supposed to work till 3 a.m. So she just wanted to get an hour nap.
Yeah.
I'm sure his parents were tired too. They probably wanted a nap. They probably wanted to go to bed.
Yeah. I
They
don't spend that much
drove-
time with my in-laws.
They drove all that way,
Yeah.
and then they're spending time talking all day with this new person. And
But
but that's how he is. He's just petty. It's like
Mhm.
he can't see anybody else's point of view, anybody else's needs. He's the one who's disrespectful. He's disrespectful of other people's wants and needs and time and
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, he's just awful. I mean,
Yeah.
he
Image.
really
Yeah.
blew it. He blew it on this one.
Yeah. Well, I wrote down his image is very important to him. He can't take criticism. He cannot take any kind of criticism because the minute she gave him any kind of criticism, I feel attacked. I'm being attacked.
Mhm.
And it's like, again, why is it you're being attacked, but you are just sort of like sharing your feelings with Alex?
Right.
And again, I think he thinks he is being so smart and so, so smart by being so controlled in his life and so judgmental and so critical. And quite frankly, people like this are not happy people. This is a really hard way to live when you cannot take anything in. You always have to be right. You know what I mean? Like everything has to be controlled. That's not fun. And I think a lot of people embrace this way of being because it helps them, makes them feel more in control, but you're really missing out.
Yeah.
And you can't get vulnerable with people.
Not only can he not take criticism, he can't even take other people even talking
Mm-hmm.
about a subject, just sharing their viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
She was just trying to share how she felt, and he can't even listen to that because it's different from from his reality.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is he seems to have all these men love him and think he's great. He's part of this bro gang. And so there's a part of me that's like, well, does Tyler get to disagree with you? Does Tyler get to have criticism? It's like, is this a male-female thing? I mean, yeah, I don't know. Tim, I was rooting for you here, but like, God, not good at all.
Yeah.
And I can see underneath, I feel like because of the death of his two sisters, I really feel like this is like something he's embraced for himself and that he's really holding on tightly to kind of maybe not feel. I don't know. And I see the root of it. And I don't think the core of him is necessarily bad. I'm just saying that he's really stuck. He's stuck somewhere and he's
trying to control everything so that nothing bad happens.
Exactly.
Like what happened to his sisters, like he can control that.
I love how you perfectly sum up each of my points. Together, it's pretty good. I ramble, and then you like perfectly succinctly sum up what I just was trying to say. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah, I'm just doing your closing.
Yes, thank you. I guess in my world, I'm able to be verbose and like talk about a lot of different things. In your world, you got to be concise and to the point.
I'm so tired. I can't say the word concise. I'll use that word. Succinct.
All right. And then, that's all the couples. Basically the end was the Jessica and baby Dax and the wedding video. Nancy lives in New York and in a relationship. Marshall's in LA and he's single. Taylor's parents are so happy. And what I love is the dad did a dad joke and you heard Taylor going, oh God, he loves that joke. I'm like, we're all with you there, Taylor, of having to listen to some bad dad joke he's told everybody. And then we get into their whole thing and the glow up. And we learned that season 8's coming out in February. Is it February 14th, 2025? Yeah.
It's the anniversary, 5-year anniversary of the first episode of Love is Blind.
Yeah. I guess I forgot that it did start right before the pandemic, like a month before.
Yeah, that's why, everyone was home watching it.
Yeah. And that's why it got so popular.
Yeah, so Minneapolis. And then they showed 3 cast members out in the audience. And they all, I don't know, Minneapolis.
Mr. Brooke.
I'm sorry. Those 2 guys were...
Well, I will say in all of these cities, they do find the most attractive people.
That's what I'm saying. These are your most, the woman was very pretty. The 2 guys, That's the best you got.
Yeah, the guy they didn't talk to was, ooh. But that one guy was like, yeah, I've been so busy. I've prioritized travel and this and that. And, I just never thought about like a relationship.
Oh, here we go. And we'll be watching every second of it.
Even though I'm angry and pissed off at everyone. Of course,
I'll
be back.
This feeling. We'll be so excited. And that's quick turnaround. I mean, that's only 1, 2, 3.5 months.
Yeah. It's like veins. We cannot go too long. We need our fix. We cannot go too long without Love is Blind.
We'll be watching it. We'll be covering it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Well, but so the Minneapolis thing was weird. And again, I understand you have to like do these segments to see if they work. And I can see you're trying something out, but it's really hard to be interested in these people that you have no relationship with, no context of who they are, have no idea what the story is, and not terribly dynamic.
No. Whoever produced this reunion, I think you might need to start looking for another job. It was bad.
It was a whirlwind, man. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what I feel like. Oh God. All of a sudden I had a thought of like, what would Poodle say? I feel like I've been wrestling with 3 guys and whatever. I don't know. Whatever he would say. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Mud wrestling with 3 guys. And,
and whatever. So, and I'm spent.
Yeah.
I am spent.
I agree. Okay. Well, we made it. We did. And
I gotta get to yes.
It's time for bed.
It is. It's time for bed, everybody. All right, Brooke, take us home.
Thank you for joining us.
You're still here.
If you're still here, and if you missed any of our recapping, if you're not sick of this season already, you can go back and listen to all the other recaps and whatever else you're interested in on our feed. We're covering Sister Wives.
Mm-hmm.
That comes out every Tuesday. Now that Love is Blind. Monday, sorry. Now that, Love is Blind is over. We'll probably be just going back to documentaries or shows that interest us. So check us out. And if you like the podcast and you want to support us, please subscribe. Please also leave a 5-star rating and review. And if you want even more content, you can go to Patreon and join our Patreon, Psych Legal Pop Podcast on Patreon. And we have bonus episodes weekly, and we do at the higher tier, we do that plus a true crime bonus episode every month, and it asks us everything every month. And you get all these shows ad-free.
Yes.
All the regular shows ad-free. So it's a good deal. So check it out if you're
go over to Patreon. Aren't we glad, I have to say, that we never signed up for Apple? Because all of those people that have all those apples
happening? I
keep
getting these notifications.
Yeah. So anybody who subscribed through Apple, if you subscribe to any podcast through Apple and you're paying for that subscription, they have some kind of crazy thing. I don't even quite understand it, but like it's requiring all these podcasters to make people re-enroll. And I think Apple wants to take something like 30% on top of that. And it's a little bit of like, what are you doing? You have enough money, Apple, if this is you. I don't know who's trying to take this money, but they're trying to really gouge people. And so I was like, God, I'm so happy that we could never figure out the Apple thing.
We couldn't figure it out, so we gave up.
And it just became, we accidentally created two things, and then we had to get rid of one. It was like a whole thing, and we just decided we're just going with Patreon, and that's what we can do. But I've seen it's such a mess, and I'm so happy that's not us.
Wow. Well, I think Patreon's pretty straightforward and easy.
Yeah. It's easy to figure out.
I've been using it, to subscribe to things for years. And so hopefully no one has any problems or issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, what Patreon requires of you and what Apple requires of you is very different. I mean, Patreon's just like, yeah, put up what you want, and just you figure it out. And it's all very user friendly and all of that. I think there's other platforms we could have a subscription, like I think on maybe Supercast or Simplecast. I don't know. There's other ones that we could do that aren't as complicated as Apple. But I've been hearing everybody. I'm like, oh, thank God we're too stupid to figure it out.
Yeah. Sometimes things just work out that way.
Yeah. Sometimes, hey,
happy accident.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
All right, everyone.
That's it.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.